happened to me several years ago. I really don't want to count how many years ago, but it was right before my 8th birthday. I'm a youngster, 8 years old. That's the absolute best birthday for anyone who grew up in my family, because that is the birthday when the children received their first bicycle. I was really looking forward to that. 8 years old, getting my first bicycle. My older brother and sister both had theirs, and my older brother had already graduated to a 10-speed with shifting and handles and brakes and curly things here, and it was very tall. I was really looking forward to my 8th birthday for that brand new bicycle. The fall before that, we had moved to a small rural town, very, very, very tiny town in Midwestern Indiana. And my parents, in their efforts to make sure we fit in with the farming and rural nature of that community, without my knowledge, they had changed the family tradition. So instead of getting a bicycle for my 8th birthday, they found it was a tractor that you pedaled like this. It was green and had a yellow plastic engine, big wheels in the back. A junior John Deere is really what it was. And this is what I was presented on my 8th birthday. I wasn't really sure whether I would have much enjoyment on that. The biggest problem was that the sprocket, you know, you're pedaling, got that little thing with the teeth and the chain, sprocket very small, which meant speed very small. My brother had his 10-speed, big sprocket, big speed. Junior John Deere, small sprocket, small speed. And I would pedal as far as my mother would let me go, up the side of Harrison Street. That was one of our side of the block. Then I could turn and go down the side of Main. Then I could turn around and go back. That was the extent of my distance that I could go on that junior John Deere. Luckily, there weren't any hills. But you can just picture an 8-year-old fresh out of elementary school for the summer. Those little shorts on, those little white kneecaps, pedaling up and down as fast as he could go. People passing me, walking. Dogs trotting beside me, not seeing anything of interest, running off. Get to the end, like 16-point turn, to get back in the other direction on the sidewalk. It was a fun summer for the beginning. About the middle of the summer, my parents decided that they were going to take a Saturday and they were going to go to the big giant metropolis of Terre Haute. It was their anniversary. They were going to go get something to eat, and they left my brother and my sister, who were older than me, in charge. My brother decided that since the parents were out of town, he knew better. He said, "There's no reason for you to stay on the block when you're junior John Deere. Let's go for a ride down the street." He gets on his 10-speed and he's up and back and circling me, and I'm pedaling as fast as I can on the junior John Deere. We get to the top of Chaplin's Hill. Now, this was a fantastic hill in the wintertime when it was snowing and you could sled. But in the summer, it was simply a large stretch of pavement that went downhill steeply. We got to the top and he said, "I'll race you to the bottom." I said, "Okay." I gunned it, which really meant just going. And you know what? Even then, you know that there's small sprocket, small speed. But if you get it positioned just right, that right-hand pedal is up in the air, so you can really step down into it. I could almost lay a patch, just downhill, kneecaps flying in the sun, glistening light, sweat bead. As fast as I could go. He's already at the bottom of the hill. But what he didn't realize is there were some guys who were cutting tree branches that overhung the road. And so my brother raced down the hill as fast as he could go on that 10-speed. Didn't see those trees at all. It was a giant crash. He went over this way, the bike went over this way. It just was just a giant mess, one of those strawberry things, raspberry things on his arm. And, well, I was racing down to his aid as fast as I could go. Skidded to a stop. And I go over to him, he's laying there on the ground. I said, "Mark, are you okay?" And he sat up and he said, "I ran over my tongue." I said, "What?" He said, "I ran over my tongue." I said, "What?" He stuck out his tongue, there were tire tracks. I said, "Holy smoke, you ran over your tongue." He said, "I told you." His bike is crumpled. The front tire has a giant divot in it from one of those branches. Luckily, the Junior John Deere, not only a yellow plastic engine, came fully equipped with a trailer hitch. I had already used it that summer. One of my friends had Barbie and Ken, and apparently Ken was cheating with Skipper, so we backed up and we hooked onto his stuff and took it down to Skipper's house. That was all kinds of fun. But we backed it around. I got it twisted around. We hooked the chain onto that trailer hitch of that Junior John Deere and started our trek back up the hill. My brother walking beside me, occasionally leaning down to push on my back to get more speed. We drug that bike back up. We turned down Harrison just about the time my parents were pulling in from their trip. My mother sees the crumpled bike, sees me struggling with that small sprocket and that bike hooked to the back of my brother limping on beside me. And immediately she said, "What is the problem?" My brother says, "I ran over my tongue." She said, "What?" He said, "I ran over my tongue." She said, "What?" He stuck out his tongue. "Tire tracks." She said, "Oh, my goodness, you run over your tongue." He said, "I told you." We slide open the doors on the Volkswagen bus. We had not the sliding, this was old ride, so it had the double doors. You know, that old style camper on the top. She throws us in and we race off to the nearest medical facility. I'm 8 years old. I'm in the waiting room like this little guy here. My feet don't even touch the floor. They're just swinging. They whisked my brother and my mother back into an examining room, totally out of sight of me, and I didn't know what was going to happen, but I heard, "I ran over my tongue." "I ran over my tongue." "I told you." 30 minutes later, in 8-year-old time, you know, could have been 15, could have been 30, could have been an hour. They come running back out. He's got giant ace bandage on his tongue. The doctor has given him 2 lollipops. I got them both. Really, you can't eat one with ace bandage on your tongue, right? So I'm really happy. We get back to the house. My father has been surveying the damage of the bicycle. Well, it's beyond hope. My brother was pretty good with cars and mechanics. We spent the rest of the summer trying to straighten out those wheels. And we really got it to be round again pretty well. But bikes like that, they need to, the wheel needs to operate on a plane. You know, a flat plane. We could do this for STEM stories. So it needs to operate on a plane. But we couldn't get it flat again. We couldn't get it straight. It had a little hook in it. He rode it the rest of the summer. He could make left turns like Cale Yarborough. Just high speed. He didn't even need to hit the brakes. If he needed to turn right, it was hit the brakes, step off, and go like this. Then he rode that bike off into the sunset, and the rest of that summer I spent on the back of that Junior John Deere. About 4 years later, I was able to graduate to real John Deeres. And there were many other accidents involving those, but that was my 8-year-old birthday story.